Hey everybody, this video is going to be about the 7 steps in developing a quality curriculum. So the curriculum is really going to be your guide for the school year. We'll develop things into weeks. So each week you'll have themes that you'll cover, and we'll have balance throughout the whole school year. And we'll be able to move students from one grade to the next grade and help them build on their skills and their fitness level. As they move along. So these are the 7 steps to designing a quality curriculum. Let me make that a little. You can read through those, and I'll go through each one of these. So the first is a guiding philosophy. This is pretty much a paragraph that you're going to write down that is your philosophy of what you want to accomplish with your students, why you think physical education is important, what are the benefits for the students. It really reflects your beliefs on why you're doing your job. What is it you're there for? Are you there to help your students become active adults? Are you there to give your students their basic sports and athletic skills that they may use in middle school or in high school? Are you there for health benefits to help fight obesity? Are you there to help the students do better in their academic classes? So you're going to put down your guiding philosophy that covers those kinds of concepts. Step 2 is your conceptual framework. You're going to write a series of statements that show what you're interested in doing. So let me just give you some examples. This will be the easiest way for you to understand this. So one statement could be that curriculum goals and objectives are appropriate for all children. So that all your activities have to be put together so they fit all children. You may have some sports skills, you may have gymnastics, you may have dance, you may have yoga, lots and lots of different activities, but it's going to be put together for all children. So that's one statement. Another statement could be that curriculum activities are chosen for their potential to help students reach national or local content standards. So if you've got state standards or school district standards, and obviously we've covered national standards, that your curriculum is going to be designed to help students meet those standards. Here's another example. The curriculum helps children develop lifelong physical activity habits and understand personal health concepts. So if that's one of your statements for your framework, you're going to include activities like walking, like playing tennis, like throwing a frisbee, like throwing a ball, those things that people can develop over time and use those for many years, well into their old age. They can learn how to ride a bike, and then they can use those as lifestyle activities to help them be more healthy in the long run. So that's your conceptual framework. Step 3 are your environmental factors. These are the things that you're just going to deal with in your particular school. So what kind of support do you have from your administrators? Do your administrators see all the benefits of PE class in the same way that you do? Or do they think it's less valuable? What is the cultural makeup of your community? These are factors that you can include in your class. If I were in a community that really likes soccer, I could use a lot of soccer activities. If I'm in a community that really likes basketball, I would use basketball kinds of activities. So you want to understand the cultural makeup of your community and then use that to your advantage. What kind of facilities do you have? Are you in a classroom? Do you have a gym? Are you in a cafeteria? Do you have a playground? What kind of things do you have on your playground? What kind of scheduling do you have? How long is your PE period? Do you have 30 minutes? Do you have 50 minutes? How often do you see the students? Do you see them once a day? Do you see them twice a week or once a week? What kind of budget do you have? Can you buy equipment? What kind of funding resources do you have? Are you going to have to do some fundraising? So these are your environmental factors that go into your curriculum. Determine content standards and student objectives. The content standards are national content standards that we've already covered in this class. Student-centered instructional objectives. These are based on the 3 learning domains. So our 3 learning domains, and you'll need to write this down. The 3 learning domains are: number 1, psychomotor. So psychomotor is movement. If you're running, that is the psychomotor domain. If you're rolling on the ground, that is psychomotor. If you're juggling, that is psychomotor. If you're throwing a ball, that's psychomotor. But anything where there's movement involved is going to be the psychomotor domain. Another domain is the cognitive domain. When we think of cognitive, we think of thinking. So when I'm using my brain to do this, this is knowledge, it's application, it's comprehension, it's analysis. So the cognitive domain would be strategy in basketball, right? How do you run a pick and roll in basketball? That is cognitive. Physically, they have to do it, but they cognitively have to understand how to do it in order before they're able to implement it. Understanding the rules of a game is cognitive. Health information is cognitive. Safety procedures is cognitive. How do we tag in our class? If we're playing a game where we tag students, do we do soft butterfly tags, or do we tag people really hard by slapping them? That is all cognitive things for them to understand. So your second domain is cognitive. Your third is the affective domain. Think of the affective domain as more of emotions. This is about their feelings, their attitudes, their values. That's all in the affective domain. Working hard would be a part of the affective domain. Being kind to others would be in the affective domain. Being a good teammate and encouraging their friends would be affective domain. So there's three domains: psychomotor, where there's movement; cognitive, where there's thinking, like strategy; and affective, which is more of your emotions, like being kind. So those are the three domains, and you're going to write your objectives based on those three domains. These objectives would be where you would come up with your grading. This is how you would evaluate your students. So see, these objectives need to contain a behavior that's observable, right? You can watch the students do it. Behavior that's measurable, and criteria for success that can be measured. So let's say that that I wanted to have a content standard or an objective. Let's say a psychomotor objective would be that students perform body management skills on various apparatus, including climbing ropes, benches, and balance beams. So let's say I have a balance beam in my class, and I want the students to be able to walk 1 foot in front of the other across an 8-foot balance beam, right? That's a behavior I can observe. It's one I can measure. Maybe I want them to walk all the way across in 1 out of 2 attempts. So I can measure that. And the criteria for success can be measured. I can measure how well they're able to do that. How many times do they have to try in order to be able to get all the way across the balance beam? So that's a content standard that I could write, and that content standard would be in the psychomotor domain. So step 5 is selecting child-centered activities. We'll talk a lot about this, but knowing the children's urges and characteristics and interests. So let me just kind of get into this a little bit. So here, this is straight out of your book. So this comes from page 67 in your book. So this is level 1. So this is kindergarten through 2nd grade students. So the psychomotor domain, this is their movement. What are the students like? What are their characteristics and interests? They're noisy, they're constantly active, they're egocentric, they want attention. So what do I need to do? Well, I need to have guidelines. I need to include vigorous games with stunts, games with individual roles, dramatic activities, stories, plays, and some team games or relays, right? So based on their characteristics, this is what I would do. My students in developmental level 1 are naturally rhythmic. They love to dance, so I use music and a lot of rhythmic skills. So I'm recognizing this in the student, and then I'm using that to my advantage as a teacher. In their cognitive domain, they have a short attention span. So I change the activities very often, and I give very short explanations about our activities, and then the students get to work. So you can see here that you recognize the characteristics of the students, and then you have guidelines that go into that. there's more to this. There's an affective domain. This is all developmental level 1. So students want personal attention. So I need to recognize individuals through verbal and nonverbal means. I may need to high five them. I would smile at them. I would say, hey, good job. So I'm meeting this need from the students using these tools. It does the same thing. This chart shows the same thing with developmental level 2 in each of those domains: psychomotor, cognitive, and affective. You'll need to know those. Same thing with developmental 3. 6th grade boys are rougher and stronger, so you keep the genders together for skill development, but you separate them for competition. So if we're working on shooting a basketball, everybody can work together, but then when we decide to play the basketball game, we may split boys and girls into different teams. So real simple concepts that will guide your curriculum. So step 6, organize your selected activities into instructional units. So you don't just do one day and then pick another day and then pick another day, and those days, those lesson plans don't work together at all. You want them to work together as you put things as you develop your curriculum. So there's yearly content, there's a sequence to what you're doing, there's balance in what you're doing. You have different development levels, which we've talked about: developmental level 1, 2, and 3. You have yearly content, so what you're going to cover over the course of the year, and your years are going to go together. So what the 2nd graders do is going to go right into preparing them for what they're going to do in the 3rd grade. So each year is going to build on top of each other. So if in the 6th grade you want the students to be able to play basketball, then you would start teaching them how to dribble a ball. At some year before that, you would teach them how to pass the ball. You would teach them how to shoot the ball. You would put in all these skills over the course of their elementary grades, and so when they get to the 6th grade, they'll be prepared to play basketball. And you're going to have balance with lots of different types of activities. Your vertical articulation is really your sequence. So you're going to teach the basic things first, and then you're going to build on top of that. So I may learn at first how to dribble a basketball with my right hand, and then I'd learn to dribble it with my left hand, and then I would learn to dribble 2 balls at the same time, and then I would learn to dribble between my legs. But there's a vertical articulation. There's a sequence to the skills that you're teaching the students. Those are our developmental levels. We've covered that before. So here's an example of a plan. So I have my introductory activity, fitness development activity, the lesson focus activity, and then the game. So this is on page, I think this is page 71 in your book. So you can open your book and you can look at this a bit. But you can see how it puts those things together. And this is a 27-week lesson plan, or 36 weeks. This is a whole year lesson plan for level 2. The last thing you're going to do is you're going to evaluate your plan and then modify things. You're going to take notes every day that you're in class. You're going to see what activities worked well, what activities didn't work well, what were some parts of your plan that may not have gone so well that you could organize differently. Maybe some discipline information that you ran into in class that you need to think about. How can I manage class a little bit better so I don't have these discipline problems? And then you can go back and make changes to your curriculum so it's better the next time around. So this is curriculum development. Those are your 7 steps for developing your curriculum and your 3 learning domains: psychomotor, affective, and cognitive.